Homestead, and welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to be going over this article that was sent to me by Christian Zybarth. This is actually from the Desert News. They used to have a section of their website called Mormon Times, but it's been changed, and now it's just church news. And this is basically an article about Victor Ludlow. He was speaking to BYU, and he spoke about four interesting things. Okay. Number one, missionary work in the region and or Muslims and Jews. Number two, a temple in Jerusalem. Number three, two prophets to the Jewish nation, otherwise known as the two witnesses mentioned in the book of Revelation. And number four, the Battle of Armageddon. And I feel like what he says here is actually pretty interesting. So thank you, Christian Zybarth, for sending this. But first, let's look into who this person is, Victor Ludlow. He knows his stuff. Okay, this is on Deseret Book. He's an author, among other things. Dr. Victor L. Ludlow graduated with high honors from BYU and was a Danforth Fellow at Harvard and Brandeis Universities, where he received a PhD in Near Eastern and Judaic Studies. Since 1972, he has taught a variety of classes at BYU and in Jerusalem, with an emphasis on the Bible, especially the writings of Isaiah, the Book of Mormon, and Judaism. He is currently a professor of ancient scripture and the coordinator for Near Eastern Studies at BYU. He has also served as chair for the BYU Faculty General Education Council and on the BYU Faculty Advisory Council. Brother Ludlow is currently serving in the church as a bishop. His other callings have included branch president, high counselor, stake young men's president, counselor in a stake presidency, and president of the Germany Frankfurt mission. So he was a mission president and a stake president. And he and his wife, Vianne, which I guess that's short for Virginia Ann, are the parents of 4 sons and 2 daughters and grandparents of 15 children. And then just a few more things here about him. Let's see, was there anything up there? No. Okay. He is also the translator of the selections from the Book of Mormon into Hebrew. This edition was published in 1982, but banned due to an agreement of no proselytism between the LDS and the Israeli government. Which, okay, I guess that makes sense. I'm just curious why they didn't go ahead and just, excuse me, translate the entire thing just for future purposes or just for people now. I mean, I know that the numbers are probably really few, but why not just I don't know. I'm sure there's a good reason. And then it says, while a BYU professor, Ludlow was also the main organizing force behind the annual Passover Seder held at BYU, which I didn't know that they did that. If you don't know what the Seder is, that's the Passover meal. That's what you typically think of as the Passover feast. So that's one of 3 quote unquote feasts during Passover week. There's the Seder, and then you have first fruits with a feast of first fruits, and then the entire week is the feast of unleavened bread, where you don't eat anything that has leaven in it. Okay, so that's who he is. Okay, so let's start reading the article and see what he says. And it is really interesting. Okay, this article is by Trent Toon. Oh yeah, and this is like 10 to 15 years ago, is what Christian said in the email. Provo, Utah. The gasps, oohs, and ahs of hundreds filled the large room as the gospel scholar shared stories, insights, and occasional humor. Victor L. Ludlow had them hanging on his every word. The topic had everything to do with it. Ludlow was lecturing on, quote, the prophetic perspectives and prophecies about the Middle East. The Thursday, August 19th class was part of BYU's Campus Education Week. Ludlow centered his remarks on 4 basic prophecies found in the standard works. 1, missionary work in the region and or among Muslims and Jews. 2, a temple in Jerusalem. 3, 2 prophets to the Jewish nation. 4, the Battle of Armageddon. Each prophecy was followed by a number of scriptural references. Missionary work was the topic where Ludlow spent most of his time. The Middle East, mainland China, India, parts of South and East Asia, and parts of Africa are among the places where missionaries are not currently permitted. Um, well, and since that time, I mean, we still don't have any in mainland China. I don't know how India works, but I know that there's been missionaries there. We have a temple that's going in there. Parts of South and East Asia. Maybe he's talking about like Bangladesh and Indonesia, um, which are like big like Muslim countries. I don't know. Anyway, um, there's also a lot of like Muslim countries in Africa that we wouldn't really go to, like Algeria, Morocco, stuff like that. Um, Lolo said, "When will the gospel be taken to these places?" He says, "Someday, probably during the millennium." Now, uh, that might rub some people the wrong way because there from what I've noticed doing this channel, there's some people that stick really closely or have like very literal interpretations of different things. And one of those things is that the gospel will be taken to every nation, kindred, and tongue. Some people go as far as to think that it has to go to every single person alive on the planet before the second coming can happen. I don't hold that view. I think I agree with Ludlow here. Someday, probably during the millennium. Um, Now, remember, we've gone over this right here. This is also from BYU. We've gone over this several times now on the channel. This is a thing called "Not All Will Be Members of the Church at the Beginning of the Millennium," and this is just it's a compilation of all these different um, quotes of general authorities and what they've said about what's going to happen during the beginning of the millennium in regards to those that are not members of the church at that time. One of the most astounding things that I learned from this this thing here is this from Joseph Fielding Smith, where he says missionary work will continue with greater vigor and power than at any other time. Now, you would think you would think that the the greater vigor and power would be just like before the millennium, the final push to get as many people as possible. But no, according to Joseph Fielding Smith, and he was a prophet, he said that it's going to be at the beginning of the millennium. And Brad Wilcox is, I think he's shown some light on this because when he was giving his fireside, he was talking about how when Christ comes, he's going to identify himself with our church. And in a day, very likely there will be, and he said 2 billion. I don't know that he was necessarily being literal with that, but he was saying, what do we do when that happens? And then 2 billion people want to join the church all of a sudden. Are we going to have enough missionaries, enough bishops, ward buildings, all these different things, right? So I think that's something that we really need to understand is that missionary work is not just for right now before the second coming. It's actually going to intensify at the beginning of the millennium. So anyway, going back here, so that makes complete sense with me because we've had several prophets, apostles, general authorities talk about this missionary process during the beginning of the millennium, and then you have him here saying someday, probably during the millennium. Is a common response, he said. The former German missionary and mission president used to think the gospel would never penetrate the durable Berlin Wall, but it did. Miracles happen, Lolo said. The Lord loves all his children, and he's preparing the way. He has different ways of preparing them. And by the way, we've talked about, obviously, the internet, because the internet at this point is basically available all throughout the world. We're living in the information age, so who knows how many people that we don't know about, because we don't have a way to know, have come across the gospel online. Okay, Ludlow, who spent time serving at BYU's Jerusalem Center, described how there are strict instructions against sharing the gospel in the Holy Land. But the church is slowly building a strong relationship of trust with the local government. He also encouraged those present to do missionary work with Muslims and Jews living in the United States and not wait until the door opens over there. Yeah, because that's one other way that it can happen is people who have migrated from other countries, right? So that's another way that this can take place. And we've talked about a lot on the channel how there's a lot of different migrations happening, a lot from the Middle East. And some people frown on that, but I think it's actually a good thing as far as missionary work goes. Taking people out of a place where it was impossible to come across the gospel to a place where it is possible. And I've seen it myself on my mission. I was in the Spain Barcelona mission, and there was a guy that was formerly Muslim that uh, got baptized into the church because he was in Spain. So if I remember right, he was from Algeria. So anyway, uh, quote, seeds are being planted, and someday the Lord's due time, those seeds will yield fruit, he said. The BYU professor shared a story about the opposition that came when the church was building its Jerusalem center. Church authorities were advised if they wanted the project to be completed, bribery money needed to be placed in the hands of the right government officials. Ludlow said the church opted to do things by the book, and in the end, things worked out. Regarding temples, Ludlow dispelled a myth that the church would convert the Jerusalem center into a temple. Quote, it was not planned or designed to be converted into a temple. It's absolutely and categorically false. It was never on the agenda, but that doesn't mean it couldn't happen, Ludlow said, sparking laughter. Uh, Ludlow said he wouldn't be surprised if a separate building was built. He likes a site currently a parking lot with weeds located in the Armenian section of the Old City of Jerusalem on Mount Zion. But the brethren haven't come and asked for my opinion yet, Ludlow said. Okay, now, in regards to that, yeah, that's true. It has not been planned, and that's just not, because there's people that do think that that's specifically what it was made for. Um, and I know that officially it's not, okay? But that doesn't mean that the Lord can't do something with it later on, possibly in the millennium or just prior to. And if it does somehow become a temple, it doesn't necessarily have to be the type of temple that we traditionally think of. Excuse me. We've looked at um, we read. I can't remember what it was called, but I did a video that had to do with the 24 temple complex in New Jerusalem that was planned. Excuse me, sorry. Um, Basically, what you had, the original plan for New Jerusalem, the center place by Joseph Smith, was that there was going to be a 24 temple complex, in that these different temples would have various functions. So a lot of them wouldn't necessarily be a temple in the traditional sense that you and I would think about. Think about the Kirtland Temple. Um, the thing, let me see if I can find it. I don't know if I'll be able to. I just thought about it just now. Let's see, your channel. Um, let's see, New Jerusalem. I can't remember what I titled it. Yeah, I think this is the one right here. No school buildings in New Jerusalem. This had to do, let's see, let's go here. W. Kimball. I'll pause it. It must have been based off of this right here, this article. This is byustudies.byu.edu. And you'll probably just have to go watch the video, but I'll put both the video and this PDF in the description below. But it essentially talks about how temples will probably become places of education and also different other different functions. So the point that I'm trying to make is that it could be who's to stop the Lord during the millennium from saying, you know what, the BYU Jerusalem Center, that is now going to be my headquarters or my administration building, which would probably become a temple, wouldn't it? Um, and then who's to say that if it actually was supposed to be like a temple, like how you and I think about a temple, similar to the ones that are operating right now, there's this really crazy idea out there that you know it happens, but there's this thing called renovation that they do to buildings, you know, where they change so that you can turn a building into something else. So who knows what the Lord has planned. Even though this was not the official purpose, that's not to say that the Lord didn't have another plan in mind for the future. We do know that there were miracles that went into this place becoming a reality. But go watch my playlist called BYU Jerusalem Center for all of that. Okay, so we'll just have to see what actually happens. And I do tend to think that the third temple will be built. I tend to think that there's probably going to be multiple temples in Jerusalem. If the plan is still to make a 24 temple complex in New Jerusalem, and I think that is the case, see my playlist called Independence Visitor Center. Uh, go watch that playlist, and it explains why I think that's still the case. But if that's the case in the New Jerusalem, why wouldn't there be something similar in the Old Jerusalem? Because they're both going to be world capitals, right? So anyway, okay. Um, moving on to the two witnesses. So this is what really kind of interests me right here. Uh, when will the two prophets come to the Holy Land? It's already happening. According to Ludlow, it's already happening. Uh, it's a common reality to people in the Middle East, Ludlow said. Ludlow tells students at BYU Jerusalem that they are in the right place if they want to meet a general authority. The top place to meet one of the brethren is church headquarters. The second is Provo, Utah, specifically uh, the MTC in Provo, and the third is the Holy Land. Before the Battle of Armageddon can take place, Lilo said, a change in the social and economic environment needs to take place. So I don't really know exactly what he's referring to there. I'd like to see if maybe I can get his whole talk. If I'm able to find it, maybe I'll do a full video on that. We can read the whole thing. Let me just for the sake of it. Victor Ludlow, Education Week talk. This might be it right here, possibly, this video. But I'd like to see it as like a transcript. I'll look into this further because I'm sure there's lots of really interesting things in that presentation or whatever that he gave. But according to him, it's already happening. Now, I'm not one that likes to be like, no, it has to happen like this. I read the scripture. I know how it's supposed to happen. And it's going to be for 3.5 years precisely to the day. And come on with it. We don't know exactly how prophecies are going to turn out. It's strange to me. So many people will read the scriptures and think that they know it perfectly, that they have it down to a T. They know exactly how it's going to happen. And I don't think that that's right. I don't think that anybody knows exactly how it's going to happen. And we've talked about the book of Revelation, and it's chock full of symbolism, especially when it comes to numbers. We've talked about the significance of 3.5. I don't know if that applies to the amount of time that the two witnesses will be, quote unquote, preaching in Jerusalem. And, I have to say, I don't know if that any of us can say what that preaching is exactly going to look like, right? Um, is it supposed to be a daily thing where you have two witnesses that are dressed in robes wandering around the old city, and people are like, boo, 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 and they're throwing tomatoes at him as they're saying things that they don't like to hear, like you see in like in like different like church videos of like the prophets being rejected. Um, I don't think it's going to look like that at all. You know, we're everything is reality based. There are miracles, but they're still we're operating within the laws of reality, physics. God is a God of order. So things like the Red Sea, yeah, I know that it parted, but as far as what that actually looked like or what kind of science went along with that, I don't think that we're going to know until later. It did happen, but it may not be as cinematic or spectacular as some of us think. Like when you watch the Charlton Heston movie Ten Commandments, and it's just like crazy cinematic. I'm not so sure that it looked like that, but so when it comes to the two witnesses, I think the best approach is just to be really, really open-minded and not to get too stuck or rigid with a certain idea is what we think it's supposed to look like. So, I don't have a problem accepting what he's saying here. That it's already happened, or at least having two prophets in the Holy Land in Jerusalem. Because think about it. I know that you've seen this before. If you've been in the church for a while, you've seen pictures like this. Here we have David A. Bednar. He's in the BYU Jerusalem Center. Here we have President Nelson and Elder Holland standing side by side at the BYU Jerusalem Center. Here we have Elder Holland again, and then over here is Elder Cook. Um, they're in well, I'm not exactly sure exactly where this is. Maybe this is the Orson Hyde Memorial Garden. Oh yeah, it is right here. Orson Hyde Memorial Garden, Jerusalem. Um, yeah, see, you have Elder Cook right here. Um, President Nelson talking there. We have President Hinckley when he was president of the church. He was there, and uh, this is not like a comprehensive list of all the different apostles and prophets that have been there. So they've been there. What if this is what the teaching looks like, or the preaching when they meet with government leaders? Look right here. Look right here. Benjamin Netanyahu, right next to Elder Holland and Elder Cook. Is this what the preaching and witnessing in Jerusalem? Do you think that maybe this is what it looks like? And do you think that we're privy to everything, every communication that the prophet and apostles have with world leaders? What if behind the scenes, what if they do issue warnings? Like, hey, we're not of our faith, but we are prophets and apostles, and if things don't change, if you don't do this or that, then there's going to be God has judgments waiting for you. We don't know how. It'd be really arrogant to think that we know everything that happens. Like it's all just going to be put here in the news. We're watching it like a movie. We know every single detail. No, 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 we don't. I don't think that we do. Who knows what the heck they talked about? Well, it says in the article that they were talking about. No, you don't know everything that they talked about. Um, so anyway, here you have it, And in this other picture here, let's go. Where is it? Where'd it go? Sorry, I gotta find that picture again. Right here. Look at this dude right here. Does this look like a member of the church? This guy? No. This looks like a Haredi or Hasidic Jew to me. This looks like a Orthodox Jew that's here listening to apostles speak. And I don't know about the rest of these people. I don't see any other kippas or anything like that. But there's this guy. Let's just read. Okay. Elder Jeffrey R. Holland and the Quorum of the 12 Apostles speak to a Mormon and Jewish delegation during a visit to the Orson Hyde Memorial Garden in Jerusalem. Okay, so you have Jewish people here in attendance, and you have prophets, right? They are also prophets, seers, revelators, although they don't actively use those keys. Uh, here you have two witnesses. You have two prophets right there. This is a picture. Now, I'm not gonna say for sure that that's uh, the completion or the what the prophecy actually looks like, but it very well could be. Who are you to say? Who am I to say? I don't know. We'll know once it's done. Um, let's take a look at some more pictures here. A distinguished gathering of Mormon and Jewish leaders visits the mayor of Jerusalem. Okay, so they're meeting with national leaders. They're meeting with local leaders. The mayor of Jerusalem, Mayor Nir Barkat. Okay, what else do we got? I don't know who this guy is. Elder Cook and former New York Attorney General Robert Abrams meets in Jerusalem as a Mormon and Jewish delegation marks the 175th anniversary of the early Mormon apostles' journey to the Holy Land. Okay, cool. Here's more of this. Oh, here's Joseph Lieberman right here. He was a senator, right? Who else do we got? Oh, they're presenting a picture of when that happened. Look at this guy. There it is. There it is right there. Look at his head. Oh, that's L. Tom Perry. Look, this is L. Tom Perry. L. Tom Perry is there. Elders Cook and Perry thank Joseph Lieberman for his address at BYU, and this was in 2011. They're sitting right next to each other. So there you go. There you go. Here's more people back here, where Jewish people, probably the same ones, but you guys, I think that we need to be careful when it comes to prophecy, that we think that we know it all, that we know exactly how it's going to happen, what it looks like, exactly what it means. When we're reading about the two witnesses, okay, let's say that it is, a 3.5 year time period. Doesn't mean that literally every single day there has to be preaching done or witnessing, or can it just be a time period where you have several really, really important visits by the apostles to Jewish leaders, to Israeli, Jerusalem leaders? I don't know. I can already feel it. I can hear you typing. I know some of you are like, no, it has to be two prophets raised up to the Jewish people. It has to be Jews. It's going to be no. Sorry, I don't think that you know. I don't know. I'm just thinking that this is probably a really good way to look at it, and very likely. Anyway, but go ahead, do it if you must. Put your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Just please be nice. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it. Make sure to share it with anyone that is interested in this topic of the two witnesses, Jerusalem, and prophecies that have to do with Jerusalem. And I'll talk to you guys later.